Hello everybody, Luke back once again, this time to break down everything we know about Final Fantasy XVI. Yes, we are finally getting a new Final Fantasy game, continuing the legacy first created back in Final Fantasy's 1987 release on the NES. Now we're going to be getting a brand new story with Final Fantasy XVI, though there's a lot we don't know about it. We do have an early release trailer, a lot of hints, some rumors, and more we're going to try to break down here, looking at everything that's been confirmed and some credible rumors that we're going to break down for you as we wait for more details and the game to be officially released. But first, real quick, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because we're trying to grow this brand new channel, and doing that lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here as we try to break down new games, rumors, and a whole lot more all about the world of video games. All right, let's get into it. Everything that's been confirmed so far is kind of thin. We do know a few things. This is a PlayStation exclusive. No word on PS4 support. They've only talked about PlayStation 5. This may be the first Final Fantasy game to be completely built exclusively for the PlayStation 5. So far, all the games that have come out recently in Final Fantasy, like the remake of the first Final Fantasy VII Remake, is been supported for both PS4 and PS5. Final Fantasy XVI is probably going to be a PS5 exclusive. Now, the first demo they showed said it was running on PC, though it doesn't look like it's going to come out to PC right away. It is possible that this could be a timed exclusive. 2 years, I think, was Final Fantasy XV's timeline before we got that on the PC. We could be seeing that again with the Final Fantasy XVI. Now, according to reports, this game has been in development for some time. First starting development back in 2016. It is quite far along, according to reports. But we don't know exactly how far. The trailer was very thin. For instance, you didn't see any HUD. There was no graphics up there. Now, is this a brand new Final Fantasy game where you just need to know everything in your head? I don't believe that. I just don't think they were showing us the HUD, the health bars, and all that kind of stuff from the game. Now, the good news is, for some hardcore Final Fantasy fans, that this game is going back to more of a medieval feel, more of a traditional Final Fantasy story arc. Recently, we've seen a lot more modern Final Fantasy games, kind of starting back with Final Fantasy VII and 8, which brought more vehicles and machine guns and the like to the Final Fantasy world. Now we seem to be diving back into more of a medieval style of gameplay with magic and kings and kingdoms and more that were very familiar from many Final Fantasy games, especially the first 6 that came out with this kind of look and feel. So if you're a hardcore Final Fantasy fan looking for something different than what 15 offered and the Final Fantasy VII Remake, this could be the game for you. Now, there is one other hint that this game is jumping back to the older times. They talk about crystals in the trailer. Now, crystals, if you remember from very early Final Fantasy games, were a big part of the Final Fantasy storyline. And to see us go back to the medieval look and to talk a lot about crystals is huge news to help us get a clue that this is more of a traditional Final Fantasy game. What that means, we'll have to find out. Now, the game seems to be revolving around 2 main characters, 2 brothers, Clive and Joshua, who must work together as they try to secure peace between 2 warring nations. Now, from what we can tell, the Phoenix Flames are magical powers that are passed down. Clive, being the oldest, should have received them, but for some reason, that's not 100% clear, the flames have gone over Clive and gone to his younger brother Joshua. Now Clive must protect Joshua as they work together to secure peace. Now, exactly how they're going to do that and why the flames went to Joshua and not Clive is unknown. Now, there does seem to be a huge amount of time span in this game, though we're not sure exactly what that means. Are we going to have a very intro section where we see Joshua get the Phoenix Flames, and then later on we see what the mission is farther on? We don't know. But we do know that the trailer shows a much younger Clive and a much older Clive all working together in this game. We'll have to see exactly how that plays out. Now, past that, details are very thin on what this game will actually look like story-wise. We just don't know a lot right now about it, past what we've talked about. So it's going to be very interesting. I am very excited to see the more traditional Final Fantasy game come out. One of the greatest things I think Final Fantasy did was to say, hey, each game, for the most part, there's a few exceptions, will be its own universe, its own story. which really does help here in the ability to tell a story any way you would want without having to worry about what happened in previous games, especially now that you have 16 main story games and multiple side games out there for this series. It's a pretty fun little thing they've been able to do. Now, a few questions I know people are going to ask, starting off with multiplayer support. Final Fantasy 15 brought the ability later on to have co-op online gameplay so you can play with other people. No word on any multiplayer being supported, though it's been rumored that Square is looking at bringing multiplayer, at least co-op, back to Final Fantasy 16. We're going to have to wait and see. The other big thing is the release date, and this is getting a little murky right now. Originally targeted for 2021, things have been kind of quiet, and this has made many wonder if the game is being pushed back to 2022. Square already has multiple Final Fantasy games coming out in 2021 and 2022 built around the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. We're getting the Battle Royale game that's coming up. We're getting the remake of the first remake coming to the PS5 and PS4 with additional content and missions on it. It should be interesting. Then we have Final Fantasy 16. Where that falls into this timeline, because we already know of games coming out this year and next year for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, with the Final Fantasy VII Part 2 hovering somewhere out there. Some have suggested that Square may push this game back to 2022 or later to make sure that it gets the full development it deserves. We'll have to wait and see. For now, though, those are all unsubstantiated rumors, and all we can confirm is it's currently targeting a 2021 release date. We are likely going to get a big event from Sony this summer with new fall game announcements. That's probably where we'll be able to figure out if this game is coming out this year or next year. We'll wait and see. Well, there we go. Are you a Final Fantasy fan? Are you excited for Final Fantasy 16? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're excited to get your hands on with this game. What changes would you like them to make from Final Fantasy 15? I know that was a kind of a polarizing game with the community with the open world map and the more modern style. Would you like to see that open world back, or would you like to see more of a traditional Final Fantasy overworld map, towns, and people to interact with? Leave me a comment. Let me know. I'll love to hear from you. And if you're new here, do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. I would really appreciate it because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here as we try to grow this brand new YouTube channel. And we'll be back real soon with another video breaking down other games, other rumors, and more, all happening in the world of gaming right now. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. We'll be back real soon.